Meet Vadik Marmeladov. Hello, hello. Can you hear me? So, I hear. My nose is running, but I have these handkerchiefs with me, so if anything happens, I will wipe my nose, and don't be surprised, please. At the same time, advertising is already happening. Danya said a very cool thing about the Twitch session, and it seems to me that the format will be the same as in the Twitch session. In other words, we are at Twitch sessions, we have no rules, we do not plan anything. Every Friday, we talk about things that we just have in our head. That is, a person basically connects to the broadcast, and he has no special thoughts. And the idea is that we don't want to prepare for these broadcasts, because it's important that the audience feels. They didn't find out the information, because what difference does it make? So that people know what the team feels, what we really feel. It happens that we connect, and someone is happy, or someone is unhappy, or someone is sad, someone is boiled. Someone is not boiled. And it helps the audience see what's really going on. It seems to me that the same thing is going to happen now. So I'm connecting to the stream, and just going to say what comes to mind. And see what happens. Special thanks to Dana for organizing all this. I wanted to tell Dana that it is very important, he supported us from the very first day. Only when we opened the subscription, the first person who subscribed was Danya, and it was very cool. And respect, thank you very much for the organization. Indeed, in one day it's very cool. But I would like to say, probably. I would start with the whole story in general, why we started making the lot, where it came from, and so that there was a context. And it seems to me that when we understand the context, we will understand what a lot is. And we will understand why we are doing it. And there will be an explanation of why it is so strange, and why it is needed at all. The story begins with a paw. The foot? It was such a brand 4 years ago. We made it from Russia. And we made only 2 products in a period of 2 years. It was an environmental sensor and a breathalyzer. Why am I starting to tell this? Because the task was very simple initially. Let's do something with the sensors all. That was all the input we got. Something with the sensors. We had a sensor, a radiation sensor, humidity, temperature, and there was something else. It's not that important. It is important that this was the original information. We started with the fact that we just made the most beautiful board, were inspired by the ENPL, of course. And started with the fact that we started inventing the world. We realized that there is no point in making just a gadget, because there are a lot of gadgets, there are also a lot of ideas. There are also a lot of designs, there are a lot of colors, but how can it all be combined together? The idea was that we should combine it with history and the universe, and charge it with something more than just a beautiful picture. As a result, we got a product that was probably not even a gadget, but just as a fashion accessory. And it was the 2012th year, and it was unusual that the most utilitarian product, the most product, which in fact rather has nothing to do with our lives every day. Previously, it was used only by professionals or some people who, why measure alcohol against a serious background? I mean, it's weird. And we realized that the products we make, they include some kind of new experience for people. Let's say it's a breathalyzer. The idea was that the context. If I use a breathalyzer, it means that I drink, the first, introductory. If I drink, it means that I do it consciously, as if I'm not crazy. As you know, when I use a catheter, if you have tried it, the first thing that is written there is everything. Do not get behind the wheel. Or it's bad, or some kind of incomprehensible figure is shown there, or some kind of incomprehensible graph is shown there. We started with industrial design, we were inspired by fashion, sneakers, music, and came to the conclusion that if we make a product that will most likely be used adequately in a club, or at a party, or in the company of friends, then there is no point in making a breathalyzer that will just tell you the number. So the interface that we made on the left, it actually had, in my opinion, about 20-odd screens. And each screen was in a different state of intoxication. When a person just starts drinking, and he blows, and it is written, everything is fine, you can still drink a little. You can go talk to someone, that's what everything is done for. Here. So, okay, you drink further, the screen changes, let's say, to this one, like it's already crossing the border. You have a plan at all. There are 8 hours left until you sober up. These taps developed according to your intoxication. At some point, the figures reached such a state, say, half a bottle of vodka, let's say something like that. It said fuck. And that's it, nothing else. What are we going to say? You are already in a state where the interface will not help you, there is nothing to do. There the share buttons are removed, the location buttons are removed, that's it, the person has already fallen. And it was interesting, because it was strange to do so and unusual, but it kind of made sense. That is, how else to make a product that works in this context? The same was done in the environmental sensor. That is, there were 2 applications. One application was so playful, more like a toy, so that people would use these devices regardless of their education. What do they want to do? They want to do it. And it means that these devices, they were used by personnel. When a person used, say, a radiation sensor, there was a clear task. I want to measure radiation before something of my scientific experiment. And why would an ordinary person use radiation? We started working and realized that our audience was young moms, young dads, and they were buying a radiation sensor because they were worried about their children, namely newborns. This is again the context, which is still, well, everything is clear. Then it's clear what to do. The application on the left was very simple. It was such that you can quickly check something without numbers, without any moralizing, without the fact that it's bad or good. If you used some kind of sensor for running and so on, they often have some opinion about how you ran. Why? Why torture people? They bought it to try to lose weight or start a new life. It's the same here. When we realized that the radiation was off the scale or the humidity was not like that, we didn't scold anyone, we just said, everything is fine, it's okay, but in general, what can be done? From this too, a lot of things appeared. But at the same time, we made a defeat that was pro for everyone, and people used it to measure what they want to measure. It's interesting to look at it from the outside now. Interestingly, the Pro app, which has a schedule, has gone more than the app, which is his toy. That's right. Yes, it's interesting here. I'll spend the shop quickly, because we all know I'm just kind of setting the mood. What was interesting here was that in this picture, when we started making the product, we realized that we had no business experience. We did not have a business team. We did not have any incomprehensible crazy connections, support. All we could do was make the most beautiful picture. And the most beautiful picture was based on a toggle switch. Painter wasn't there yet. It was based on a toggle switch, and we thought, okay, what's going to work? And there are thousands of pictures. Everyone looked at it and said, okay, then there was a brown fashion, all the deterrents. We are like, okay, we need the tree to be exactly the same as in this picture of this brown player. The color should be exactly the same as on the Apple headphones. In other words, we have narrowed this picture as much as possible so that it is pleasant. I remember there was a conversation with my mother, who is sitting here. I call, she says, damn, that's how lucky, and so everything went. Mom, who? We just brought out every pixel there. There's a formula for everyone who stands. And this was also the beginning of work, because we realized that in addition to the fact that you can just make creativity, you can also charge the picture with something else. And this picture, I showed it, we didn't even have a logo. This picture was everywhere, just because we made it as a logo. And this is also very interesting. I won't go there, but the logo doesn't have to be a vector and so on. It can be a face and anything. Well, yes, there were all sorts of jokes. This slide is important because it shows that despite the fact that the colors were different and different textures, different devices, absolutely opposite. We did it on purpose. A breathalyzer and, let's say, an important sensor. These are completely different devices, absolutely for a different world. But we managed to tie it into one story. And it happened because there was a story behind it all. Let's say you can see it in the middle here. This is the Phone 4 project and Google. This golden thing. It was an attempt to make a collaboration with Burberry. And on the left, these are new paws that were without a wire. Some kind of paws that can be carried on a backpack, and so on, and so on. Why do I like the slide? Because again, everything is different, but you feel like it's one universe, you feel like you're watching one movie. I think this slide, this is what I'm going to try to tell you today, how to make it so that. Not even how to do what we're trying to do. In other words, we are trying to make the world as big as possible. Let's say some Marvel universe, or the Kardashian universe, it doesn't matter. In other words, this is the Cinematic universe. And it is absolutely possible to convey it through design. It doesn't have to be a movie, or music, or a TV series. It can be just pictures, or just products, or a company. That's probably what I'm getting at today. Well, yes, everything was fine. There was a good feedback from the press and so on. My favorite review about the paw was when someone tweeted, "Damn, I want a paw," then a tweet, "But what is it?" It seemed to me that this is a victory, because we did something that a person wanted, and then thought about the functionality. And as if living in America, you realize that the whole of America is tied to functionality, and this is transmitted to everyone. In other words, it doesn't matter what kind of story, it doesn't matter why it's being done, the main thing is that it works, and works correctly. But this is certainly not the case. Yes, it's not. The achievement that was in the shop was that we got into the Urban Outfitters store. It's also very interesting that the story was so strong that they didn't even seem to think why it was necessary. They just liked these pictures. And I love the word pictures because it's important, it's icons. I'm probably going to be a little slower here. Here I will tell you about our work with Easy and Kane. This work has been the last 2 years. We are already more. Now we are in a different relationship, but it is very interesting how his head works, and how these universes began to fit together. And it will probably be seen, again, where the lot came from, and why it is like this. We started with the fact that we started thinking about the church, that is, how to make it so that. What is the EC Church? Where will people meet? Why will this happen? What is Pyramid 2020? If Kanye West, if it's God, what does his pyramid look like? He is no longer a man, he is already in another world. And how to create a religion. And if you think about religion, it has many elements. She should have a meeting place, she should have elements that you share, and a lot of things. And it was a church. Inside the church, and here it seems to me, there is a very important disclaimer that I am showing this, it is absolutely secret. But I know that Kanye will approve of it, because when we met him, he said, "We need to make a world. We need to create a universe." I say, why? He says to move. And it is clear that if we do this, there is no such attention. When he does it, people realize that a shift is really coming. There was a big team, a lot of people. I show the works, the ones that were made exactly between me and him, there was no one else. It's just important for credit. All the work was done under his supervision. So I give everything to him, but visualization, probably. And understanding had to come from our team. In this church there is only one way to enter. There is nothing in it except one table. And a table. This is an inversion of the church itself. That is, it is a table only inside out. This is nature, fractals, everything. And this table, I singled it out, because, first of all, it's humor. That is, there is a phrase like a slide and rally. And you really just fall and slide down the hill into this table. It is also important that this table is made for a special team. That is, it is not for all the people who are in the Easy team. It is not for visits, it is for, say, 80 people who are family. And people meet in a special mood in order to figure out what's next. A lot of other work came from this, and this is some kind of sample, but this slide is interesting, because it is a development for the Adidas store and a joint one. Anna says, "I have kids, I don't need to have any sharp corners at all, no one should fall, everything is retro." And that was enough to come up with a place that looks like some kind of psychiatric experiment. In other words, you get there, and the idea is that your consciousness should change, and this is possible. And architecture has probably been created for this. Not in this particular place, it's an Adidas store. You can buy clothes there, you can measure them, there is a cafe there, but you can't see anything. Everything is made of soft rubber, such a scale, there is a big screen at the back. Again, if you remember Kane's universe, all his performances, then there he has these big screens, lights, filling with one color. It's all there. This was about the idea. You can see there are different zones. Some zone can be a cafe, some zone can be a fitting room. The fitting room, let's say, is this cave, where people are standing there. It doesn't have to be booths. If this place is Adidas, then why not make your own sports equipment, which also cannot be standard? They can't have anything written on them like Easy Life, or whatever they are called, simulators. In general, there can be no standard simulators in this universe, in this place. Therefore, even the simulators had to be made from scratch. They should grow out of the ground, they should be soft, anyone can try them. Perhaps you buy something, immediately see it on the simulator, and see how it works. This is a cafe. There is nothing in the cafe, that is, it is also unclear how to take food, where it comes from. And there is magic in it, that is, there is interest in it. People are sitting under a tree, inside some big shopping center, everything is soft. The functionality that is required, it is executed. You can eat, you can drink, you can buy, you can meet friends. You can think of it as a combination of some Apple store, with a Genius bar, and so on and so forth, but just the next version of it. This is a cafe. This is where the food is distributed. Food, we called it the power line play, that is, if there are no plates, and if there are no tables, then as is. The idea was that these are plates that you put on your power line and eat. And you can take it with you, it's there for a limited portion, but with the invention of the plate. Probably, here we can stop at the fact that the fabric was very hard. It is a very tough task that every element that we invent must be invented. We have no right to do anything that has been done. A plate can't be round, just by definition. Even if it's convenient, maybe we should try to make other versions. And it's interesting that in the process of working, now I'm already looking at it, it's clear that it's impossible to make another plate. Not a round one, if you don't think about where it is. If you don't know where this plate will be used, then you can't make it any other way. This shape was born, not because the shape was invented, not because it would be fun to make a triangular plate. This form was born only because, okay, there is a cafe, in which there are no tables, in which there are no waiters. You pay as you look for a bracelet. Then in this case, how can there be a plate if there is no time to put it? There is nowhere to take it. A person has to take it with him. And this is very important, because it is impossible to come up with some forms. It is impossible to come up with some jokes. It is impossible to come up with. When it happens, something like this happens in life, do you think what kind of movie is compared to this? I mean, this is the craziest thing we've ever done. No movie can compare to this. It's very similar in mood to what we do. A lot of developments have been made. I also show this as a context, that even this plate, it appeared simply from understanding what the easy universe is. This is sales, this is advertising on billboards, these are applications, stores, music. Everything had to be combined as much as possible. No material can be accidental, no picture can be accidental, no texture can be accidental, no rift can be accidental. Everything has to be connected by a story that you can just kill for. That is, I will deduce it for myself like this. When you show a picture, a person tells you, why is that? You're talking because, and why is that? And this. The test word is when your interlocutor runs out. Why? You should know the bottom of this question. If they tell you, if the question comes to the death of life, even there should be answers. Here was the idea that you see this. I continue the line that the easy sneaker is so iconic, it is so important in culture, that you don't even need to say that it's easy, you don't need to write that it's a sneaker. How to make sneakers by sneakers. That is, there is no need to do it, and the price is not important, because it is a symbol of something else. And this picture shows that it is already an unimportant brand, not a brand. It is important that the product is made at a level that will be in textbooks and in books, and this is enough. And there is no need to do anything else. From this is one of the last works, pay attention to the soles of the feet. It worked like this. He says something like, scooter, text everything, because there is nothing, no questions, just a scooter. And if the scooter is not there within 20 minutes, then you are fired. And I say, Anya, how can you do things in 20 minutes? He says, you can't do them anymore, and if you do things for more than 20 minutes, don't send them. I need it to be a stream from outer space. If it's your job, I'm not interested. And now I believe it. This scooter is cool because its wheels are the same as the sole, but also because it doesn't have a single mechanical part. It doesn't have switches, buttons of any kind, it doesn't have any visible brakes, and so on. And the idea was that you approach this scooter, and it operates like probably a dragon from Game of Thrones. You approach him, you have a phone, it's clear that all the technologies are there, 5G, come on. You come up, and he says, hi, Vadik. So, where are we going today? As usual, you say yes with a voice. He may even say, rewind 10 years ahead, 15 years ahead. If you need to look 30 years ahead, it is possible to change the color of the entire body, and says, I'm ready. And what if he doesn't have mechanical parts? Because in order to go forward, you just need to twist your hand. Because there are sensors, you need a handle there. He feels that you are driving, and from this, there will be a relationship with this device that is not the same as with a device that's just a trash can, but a device that is alive. That feels you right here, without any buttons, without everything. What if, in order to stop, you just need to push, and it's soft, rubbery, and you push? And you feel how this scooter responds to you back. Depending on the road conditions, on the rain, it doesn't matter. Maybe you're walking in the rain, you're braking, and he says, listen, don't brake so sharply. Perhaps this scooter knows that this is your first ride, and does not allow you to press the brake quickly, and gives you feedback in your hand. And you realize that you are doing it. So again, history created this product, and history was uncompromising. This is very important. That is, there was no such thing as, okay, to introduce, in short, restrictions, wheel, steering wheel, and so on, let's do it. It doesn't matter, everything, we score on all the restrictions, and do it the way it should be as much as possible. And it's funny, that when you do it the way it should be, it turns out that you can do it. And it often happens that we sit and think, damn, I would do as it should be, but I will do as it should be. And practice proves, especially in this, that if you do it as it should be, it can be done technically, it can be sold. It will come in, people will like it, and so on. Therefore, it is a very interesting experience. We made different headphones. It's interesting here that the headphones are on the right. These are headphones from Flynn 2, if headphones. This is a fashion object. Why should they be rubber, plastic? Why not make them out of fabric? And why not make them out of Flynn, like sneakers? Here was the idea that these headphones do not have an on-off button, it does not have a volume button, there is no charging. There is nothing, because the only thing that will broadcast these headphones is easy sound, that is, only what Kane broadcasts. But it's obvious, Cayman, that he's going to play at all. There will only be his. So you turn on these headphones, it's like a radio. There's one wave, there's no definition of loud. That is, if it needs to be loud, he will make it loud. If it needs to be quieter, he will make it quieter. In order for there to be some kind of podcast for 4 hours, there will be a podcast for 4 hours. If he thinks that now it is necessary that there be some there, I don't know, whatever. Noise will be noise for a week. And it's also very interesting, because it came from one phrase that he said to radio. The radio doesn't put me on, I make the craziest music, I make the coolest music, the radio boycotts me, let's make our own radio. This story was enough to come up with this whole legend. And again, it is very important that it is impossible to come up with any colors, pictures, materials, or functionality. Without this first principle, where does it all come from? Why do it need to be done? We made shoes. Shoes are important to us because this is such an interface for the entire search in general, and a huge job. The easy team to find the best color, to find the best samples. It all poured into the shoes, and the shoes this vision, and broadcast down to all the other products. It was a speaker that also works the same way as easy sound, like headphones, but it could be bent. It could be hung on all sorts of things. It could be hung on itself. This is foam furniture that you can just send a file and anyone can make. That is, it is laser-cut sofa without problems. From the same series, the foam column is made as primitive as possible because the same functionality. There is no volume button, there is nothing. You bet, it works, that's it. If you want to turn it off, you can stroke something like that. Headphones that bent and worked as speakers and as headphones. Also, we are now talking about the year 2020. This is already some kind of biotech. Everything is combined with a person. Batteries on a new level, internet connections on a new level, that is, with complete freedom. There was a modular system. You could just make headphones. The same model can be modular, like the next computer, the next phone. It's interesting here that there are two haptic modules in the back, which can simply vibrate somehow, or something else. Maybe something deeper. I'm just dreaming now. I don't remember what it was. I remember what it was, but I remember that the idea was that if we are making a new sound experience, then why not redo the attitude to the bass, the attitude to the treble, the attitude to the low, that is. It should be reinvented from scratch. And when a person connects to a sound, it can't be a podcast, it can't be music, it can't be a set of tracks. It can't be a Spotify playlist, it has to be a new experience that has never been in my life. And at the moment when these haptic modules hit you at the right moment, at the right sound, you should start crying. And this is a job that is connected with history, with design, with hardware, with production, with logistics, with sales. But the task is to make a person change his life in the first second. This is probably my favorite project, because we have siphoned it off. That is, this is the only project that we have done. It has reached, let's say, the shelf. This is an award for the Pornhub site. He called and said, Pornhub. This is not a porn site. Pornhub. This is a website that will help all people of the earth to look at their sexuality, look at themselves from the outside, understand who you are, find out why you love it, and why you don't love it. And the idea was that let's make awards that look like they're going through. Again, we're talking about the future in the future. What if in the future there are sex toys, or the porn industry in general? It is so. There's not even a word for porn bad. Sexuality is some kind of fifth sexual revolution, when we already live in it. We all have it. These toys work. Not toys, these are devices that help you to open up, to get attached, it doesn't matter. And they work not just as a device, they work together with some right substances, some psychedelics, with some right music. In other words, this is a new experience of knowing yourself, work, life with a partner, and so on and so on. These were awards, and we made them for each porn star separately, for each category. I remember it was the coolest moment. We are standing backstage, everyone is naked there and yet, damn, it's cool, cool, what is it, what is it? And one comes up, I don't remember her name, comes up and says, what is it? We say, this is a reward. She's like, I hope I never win. I think it was. It was the coolest feedback I got for the design, because it means everything worked. Again, it was the whole universe, rethinking how to look at these things, and we were doing merch. And it is important that in order to make this award, again, Kane just says do everything. That is, we made tickets, we made merch, we made videos. This track, which he recorded with Lil Pump, was made for this award. In other words, he creates the universe. When this universe is ready, when it is formed, this vision attaches to the team, and the team works with a ready-made universe. And it's so easy, because you don't have to think about what color or what shape something is. You just take it and say, oh yeah, like a library. The basis of the basics. This is a brush that we made for him, and it looks like, let's say, an art project, but in fact, if you photograph your hand, and it goes to production, and the brush comes under your hand. That is, everyone will have their own brush. It will be curved, but it will be exactly under your hand. These are not plates in the same place. They are made for food. The idea is that a person walks into a store. There are people who can buy. There are people from 12 to 18 years old who can't afford to buy. This does not mean that they cannot participate in the easy universe. This means that you need to do something so that they can take something with you and bring it home and think about it and again change their lives. These were certain plates, and he says, you need a plate that you can take with you. It was his feedback. There are dozens of different forms for each meal, that you order food, you eat it, and you have just a piece of an art project with you, which you put on the shelf, and that's it. They are made of paper. Connie had a baby recently, and he asked me to think about how to make a crib for a newborn that will prevent death in a dream. This is one of the main problems. We don't solve this, it's just a sketch, and it's clear that in order to really solve this problem, you need to spend years and so on, but nevertheless, I just wanted to show it. Because it's interesting that if, say, the crib grows, the child does not increase here, but it should increase. But what if the crib grows with the baby? And the bigger the baby gets, the freer the crib becomes, because I know that when a newborn is born, he needs to be swaddled, wrapped up so that he cannot move, and so on. Maybe it's a crib that comes to you every month, and you think about it. It is made of some kind of material that is recycled. Perhaps you can fill up the earth in this crib and grow something in it. That is, nothing is lost. But like technology, nature must work together to guarantee life. And it's also very interesting, I think. That's all. Then we move on to the lot, and we started making a lot. Here I will show some pieces of our presentation for investors. We started making the lot 2 years ago, and we are already 2 years old. I really like this slide, because this slide shows completely different media and opinions. When you work in the startup world, I do not know what else to call it. They tell you, there must be a focus. You have to be as focused as possible on what you are doing. It always infuriated me, because if we create the world, and the world, it's everything, it's what we eat, what we breathe, what we listen to, what we wear. It all affects everything. Then how can it be a trick? I didn't understand. And work at Airbnb. We sold the foot to Airbnb. It was very cool, but there was a conflict that creating one function did not allow you to create a world. And you try to create a universe, and they say to you, no, we have 2 buttons, we need 2 buttons to work, and that's it. And the lot was created fundamentally in focus, fundamentally without one function. We will have all the functions that can only be just out of spite. I'm kidding, no. Because the idea is that this slide shows what we wanted to convey. Everyone has different industries, different opinions, and they see something of their own in this. GQ says that they look at it like fashion, compare it with their universe, with their industry, and say, damn, this is some kind of anarchy. Vox, which is more about technology and says, oh, there's AI, there's some kind of subscription, it's interesting for them. They say about fashion, they are interested that it is a fashion brand, but which adapts to itself. A small site, but nevertheless they saw that we are creating a machine that communicates with you, but this machine creates distrust. But on the contrary, trust. It is interesting that we have never said this publicly, we have never talked about it at all. And they all saw it. It's just that we would have the whole problem with the fact that it's very hard to write and speak. What is a lot? I don't know. The attempt at this is the idea that lot is a universe in which there is a dream, there is Marvel. And everyone has their own opinion about who Batman is. Everyone has their own opinion that Batman is not Marvel. To comics or Marvel. The idea is that everyone has their own opinion, and everyone treats it differently. In general, I have always reread Batman and Superman, because it is a brand, a product in which everyone can participate. I can participate in it right now by drawing the Batman logo that everyone knows about. I can go out in a Superman t-shirt, and none of us will think that you are advertising a D's comic. I want to say this. Although Komen, it's just a product. It's a product like Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola? Not cool, but Superman. Cool. And it seems to me that this idea is precisely that everyone can find something and something for themselves and can connect with the hero on a completely different level. Again, this is what we want to do in lot. You know how the lot works. This. I don't pay attention. This is a prototype that doesn't exist yet, so it's first-hand. The lot works so that you have an app. For those who do not know, while he is not there, you have an office, you answer questions, you change some parameters, the upper levels. Can we ask you how you're doing today? Because we want to build a relationship. You go to the website tomorrow, we say, do you like rain? We will never ask you if you need a probe. In other words, this is the wrong question. Do you like rain? This is the right question. Based on this information, we have our Humpty Dumpty, that is, Sergei Filippov. This is our technical director, who is currently in Los Angeles, probably watching. He had the idea to make a Tori engine. This is just an algorithm that works with human information and generates a parcel based on it. As we know, the first user of the lot, it's not working yet because we're setting up this very complex process, but just like a lot user, we know it's starting to work. And that's the most important thing. And the package comes different depending on your settings. The further we go into the service over the next few years, the more top-level questions there will be. How's your mood? Who are you? Do you have a family? How do you feel about her? This is very unusual, because when we are asked Google questions, we do not want to answer them. And we think that our lives are being invaded. When Lot asks questions, we want to answer them, because Lot doesn't ask. We are not interested in selling your information at all, it doesn't matter to us. It's just important for us to understand who you are and how you feel. And interestingly, we were just rolling back to the very beginning when we were talking about the Twitch sessions. Why do people answer these questions? Because they see us in these sessions, and that we don't hesitate to speak as is. We are not ashamed of our accent. We are not afraid that we do not know English. We are not afraid that we are nobody and nothing compared to some mega companies, and so on. And from the fact that we are as open as possible and are not afraid to lose face, because what difference does it make? And people also trust us with these issues. We launch them, we think, we'll hang up these questions, it'll be fun. Every lot user answers these questions, that is, it's pretty cool. This is already such an explanation. There was an explanation of the lot, it's just that here the explanation of the lot is more applied. That now even if you want to collect some right products for yourself, you still need to spend the same work as going to the store and shopping. Yes, there's a cool website. There are beautiful buttons. Yes, there are beautiful shopping cards, some kind of fast dispatch button, and even fast delivery. But nevertheless, if you want to assemble for yourself, say, a set of necessary products, a brush, underpants, socks, in some correct, fashionable startups here, then it will still look like assembling this computer, and nothing changes, but it's wrong. What do we want to do? This is a closed, sorry for the word, closed experiment. This is one button. One button, you press it, and you get what you need. And Apple, of course, is our great inspiration. I'm not going to talk about it much, but we have to give them credit for the fact that they managed to create a universe that we trust so much. I have an example. There are two examples about Apple. The first one. This is what when you click, you know, an Apple user. It has nothing to do with wars in any way. It's just a good product. You press copies on the phone. In the next second, you press paste. It is copied on the computer. For the user, this is what? There are no such problems. But we understand that we need to build it, just servers somewhere in Arizona, the size of football fields, just for it to work. And this is also very important. We have this phrase about the fact that suffering is there. It can't be removed anywhere, especially when you create a product. Especially when you are a design, especially when you make art. You are suffering, there is nothing shameful about it. But it's when the suffering gets to the point where you think, okay, that's it, I can't do it anymore. And you pass it on to the product. And the secret is that suffering doesn't go away. There are two options. Either you take it on yourself as the creator, or you give it to the user. That's it. That is, either the user will suffer because you did not get enough, or you suffer to the end. But the user will not understand this. Apple is a good example of how it has been less recently, but the idea was that a person does not think how it works. A person does not know how everything works. A person does not assemble motherboards, does not buy products. Some wires, and so on, and so on. A person buys a computer that is already charged, a battery that is already packed. You click on the button, turn on that you can click on the button, and start writing text. And probably everyone who used an Apple computer, especially say 5 years ago, from Russia, you buy it for the first time. You have no desire to play the game. You have no desire to go to internet. You have a desire to quickly start creating something. Open a movie, start doing something, write some text. I wonder what kind of design it was. It was done on purpose, it's not an accident. The smell of this device, how it opens, is that it is immediately charged. I read in the book that in order for these computers to be charged, especially phones, iPads, it was also necessary to completely rewire the production process, only so that when you open the iPad, it is charged immediately. And it's interesting that now it's so normal, but before the Apple, the products were discharged, they had to buy batteries. How much of a shift is this in general, and how normal it is, just because they took on the suffering, and we don't see it. Very important. We have more than 80 products in the lot now, added every month, and we think about the products as a life story. That is, every product. This is a slot in our user's time. Let's say it all starts to shave the beard, and it's 15 minutes. The next thing, you go to the shower, it's there for another 10 minutes. Then you dry off, it's there for 3 minutes. Then you use deodorant. It's 2 minutes, then you brush your teeth, it's 5 minutes. Then you do some final carts with cream, you clean your ears, then you check from the street normally. And at the very end, you take out our ritual oil to be beautiful on your head, and you are ready to go to war. The war starts on your working day, and here we also have the whole arsenal. That is, you are ready to go into battle, and you feel. I liked some tweet there was, maybe someone sitting here said that. I don't remember the details, that I go to work in lot, I feel energized, I feel different. It's not a fact that it's good, but it's just interesting that because we thought it through, that you go to war, and we make you tools that allow you to go to war, you feel that way. The lot was not created as a fashion brand. The lot was not created as a cool thing, or an art project. The lot was created as a uniform in order to fight injustice, bullshitting, politics, all these things. It is really interesting that our users differ in this, that they are not ready to tolerate any politics, no unnecessary conversations. And those who buy a lot or subscribe to a lot, they feel it too. And it was a very interesting feedback, because we wanted to do it, and it turned out that way. This is also such internal information. We started the lot, and the first products, they were thought out by us. That is, we thought through the whole story. Each package was thought out. 2 years have passed. We understand that it is very difficult, because there are many branches, the weather appears. You all felt it when summer, winter comes summer product, because we customize. Ideally, if it's winter, you're here, then winter things come to you. Or you come somewhere, we need to know that you are moving, and we need to help ourselves with this move, and so on. And so on, and so on. From the first day, we wanted to make it so that it's one subscribe button, you subscribe and that's it, you don't think anything else. In other words, it is an alternative to shopping. You shop, but the car shops for you. If, perhaps, we compare it as with Spotify. That is, the algorithm with Spotify. The taste of my Spotify in music is much better than my taste. And I trust Spotify 100%, because I listened there for a week, that's it, I just press play. And he knows what's going on, he knows what to turn on, he knows why it works. We want to do the same thing, only for physical products. And it is clear that we cannot make this button now, it is far away. But we are introducing an intermediate version, which was also necessary. These are modular plans. And now some users, not all of them, we are rolling it out, we are testing. Some users have the opportunity to customize their lot the way they need, but do not choose products as before. No one can come in and say, I want butter for myself. I want it for myself, let's say, on my handkerchief. You can subscribe to the story. The story may be called Caring For. I bring the yelling verbatim behind my mouth, so to speak. Body care, animal care, uniform. And this is interesting, because we can say that we changed the lot completely, cardinally, but we left the most important thing. We left the story. We left what people loved us for, what people subscribed to. And here you can imagine a lot of everything. One can imagine that these modules are local, such advertising just might be an idea. The lot can be local, that is, say, if the lot is in Russia, then what if one of the modules works only in Moscow, nowhere else? And what if this module is, say, a shop? You subscribe to the shop module, and you receive food from the shop in the concept of a lot with a history. That is, they reveal you and change your attitude to food. You get some unusual meat, maybe, or there's some kind of meat substitute, or some drinks that show you that food can be different. In general, we probably have everything that can be viewed about it in Twitch and modules. This will be what we will talk about in the next few years, so I won't stop here for a long time. Every product, every lot product, it's made like. As the story goes again, we don't have a single product that was made by chance, doesn't exist. Everything we launch, it means that it has version 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And everything that was being conducted here at the moment, this thing. This is version 0, then there will be version 1, version 2. Here you can see that, let's say, if you're walking down the street. I don't know what kind of thing happened. You're walking down the street. A lot of users are coming towards you, and you're like, I know, everything is fine. And this is, let's say, an offline experience. You connected with a person and quickly identified yourself, that is, without a face, without saying something. You quickly say, yes, I know everything is fine. And you understand that because a person has signed up, because everything is so complicated there, then you can probably trust him. And it's very interesting. And we think, okay, but what if we make the next version of this, the 6th version in this case? I have the 1st version, I have the 2nd version, this is the 6th version. What if the 6th version really works like this offline experience, only for real? What if this product connects you with another person in the lot community? It's guaranteed that everything will be fine. It's guaranteed that you can work with this person. It's guaranteed that you can meet him. If you have seen the story about this device, the idea was that I am lying at home. I am an introvert. I am tired of everything. I do not know what to do next. I do not know the answer to the questions. I'm just lonely. I know that everything is fine, but it's very, very hard. What if I clamp this product, and all it does is it sends a signal to whoever is ready to receive it? And we know this because we know our users. We know that they answer questions, and this signal goes to a person, and just starts vibrating it in the same way. And the person knows that it is very difficult for someone now, and someone can be helped, and also clamps it in response. And I get this signal that someone made a hand. It's not necessary to write any sums, it's not necessary to write. Oh, it's cool. No likes, no hearts, nothing. You just know that someone is with you right now. That's enough. It's interesting that it can be made from wire, or it can be made from the most modern technologies, materials, and so on, but it's impossible to come up with anything if you don't think about why it needs to be done. And it's interesting. Here on this slide, I would like to show that the products that are coming now, they are very simple. This does not mean that we want to make them simple. We want to make them very complex. And the concept that we are taking for the next few years is not the products are a refile, but there is a dispenser. And it has a refile. That is, we will send. I'm talking. We are in the year 2021, on the 8th of March, and we are sending a dispenser. The dispenser is made of high-quality materials. They are eco-friendly, they decompose if necessary. This brush, it can be with vibration, it can be anything, but this brush comes alone, and then only refills come to you. This is again without details. There are too many secrets, but each product will be a dispenser that will have a refill. We are already doing this now, and the user lot sees how the lot shifts from the box with surprises to the box with the correct referrals. It's also interesting here that there is a soap that is a favorite, but this soap is stupid, that is, it has no brains. And we send it, it's cool, people live with it, but we don't know the relationship of a person with this soap. What if some version in the near future will be smart? And this is again a soap dispenser that sends information back to us. Not just that the soap is over, that is, this and that, but that a person clicked on the soap twice at 8 in the morning on Sunday. And yesterday he wrote that everything was fine, and today he replied that everything was not very good. But in general he chose this smell. In other words, this information is new. It's not the information that, okay, he's here, geolocation, that's it. This is a new level of information that relates to how you feel. And our attempt and our ambition is to take this information from you, so that the next soap that comes to you, you click and think, damn, who did you know? This is very important. We know that you can enter this cycle. We know that Sunday may be hard for you, because tomorrow is Monday. And we know that you like to spend time there, I don't know, with yourself. What if we can click on the right point in a good way, without manipulation, and just the smell and texture of soap will change your mood for tomorrow Sunday. This is possible with many things that we use every day already, but some very primitive products that surround us, they are just bad. I have a favorite example in general. This is a plastic toothbrush. You go to the store, in America it's not really visible at all. You go to the store and buy yourself such a default plastic tights. Some kind of red rubber brush. I believe that this is the most depression that can be on earth at all. There's another level of depression. It's even worse when someone bought it for you. This is the end. You live with a man, you love him. I bought you a brush, and there. Okay, that's it. And it shouldn't be like that, because this brush is the moment when you spend the most intimate 5 minutes of your life at this moment. You look into your eyes. You don't make eye contact during the day anymore. At the moment when you think, okay, am I capable of anything at all or not? You're asking everything at all at this second. And the door is closed. You open it. There are children there. It doesn't matter. Anything can be behind this door. This moment, it's a ritual. It's irrelevant. This is the universe telling me, Vatic, calm down. An important point. Listen to the universe. The brush should help itself to recharge for the whole day. It should act as a cross in different religions, as meditation, as your friend who tells you that everything will be fine. And this can be conveyed simply by the fact that we do not design a brush, not plastic, but we do the design of a ritual. That is, a person feels how the brush communicates with him without any communication, without any text messages, without any tracking, without graphs, without everything, only on another level. And it seems fantastic, it seems like a madhouse, until the moment we remember our favorite foods. Nike sneakers, Apple products. The list goes there. There are some cool cars that you can drive. You put on sneakers, you wear Nike sneakers, and you're like your first message. I'm going for a walk, or I'm going for a run. And that's what they wanted to do. Their slogan is that everyone is an athlete, regardless of whether you do sports or not. You are an athlete only because you are alive, because you believe that you can be. That's enough. Our presentation is coming to an end, so we have a couple of slides left. Then I'll move on to the questions. That's it. In each first parcel, we send a measuring tape measure so that a person can measure their dimensions and fill them on our website. So that we can remove the Ms in the near future, because these dimensions did not appear because we wanted so much as users. Not because it is convenient, but because it is convenient to manufacture. It's more convenient for them to just screw up mil and s, fill up in stores, and that's it. That's the whole process. There is no love there. We want every product to be customized in the near future. It has been designed at all levels, from the smell to the texture for itself. It is clear that these ambitions are in 10 or 15 years, but we are already thinking about it now. Again, we are thinking about this now. The proof of this is that we are already sending you this changing tape. But we know that everything will be even cooler from now on. And it will be cameras, computer vision, and virtual reality. And then the most interesting thing begins, that all the blocks disappear, all the technological problems that we had. It does not connect, there is no Wi-Fi, the battery is dead. This will not happen very soon. And we will have a second eye, our phone, or some other device. This second eye, the third eye in this case, it will help us to choose the right things for ourselves. And it will be a new generation interface in general. Secret information, what we are working on now, is the next interface of the lot. Our products will be just physical totems, like it was there somewhere in May. You take a simple tube with cotton pads, but this tube, it's like Jin, he just starts talking to you. Perhaps here you can choose some settings, you can say whether I want this furniture with a smell or without a smell. Here you can even chat with some users who may be using this product right now. You can adjust the texture and so on and so on. Right here, you can talk to customer support and ask, listen, there was something missing or something else. And this slide is very interesting because it probably shows the future, where we are going. If we talked about the next 10 years, what will happen at the end? And it seems to me that not only lot, and we talked with this building just over the weekend, that the next paradigm. There is no technology, there are no computers, there is no internet, but there are just living beings that are yours. Maybe this dragon has grown out of a lot jar, and maybe it has grown like this. Because for the last 5 years you have been answering questions. This dragon looks like this because you are like this. Perhaps this is your avatar, perhaps you are not subscribed to the lot, but you are subscribed to this dragon, which, because of the way you live life, is grown because of the way you live life. I mean, I'm probably going to finish here, because you can say this endlessly, you know where it's going. But I'm probably going to talk about other things, but I want to say about lot that lot. It's more than it looks. We need to come to the questions, but I wanted to say, I have a little message, and probably the main reason I wanted to meet today. It's all known, it's easy to charge. We have gone through a difficult path over the past 10 years, and this path was based on the fact that we want to do things that cannot be done. We were fired, we were kicked out. They laughed at us. There was everything. And even Lot, few people believed in him 2 years ago. And I see a lot of people I know in the hall today, and I can list them endlessly. I wanted to start with Maxim Balavin. My special respect. I will remember the names and I will say them. It's just that now Murden, now in retrospect, it's clear that working on the lot, working on the fabric, working on the foot. It was a joint work of all of us. I perform here. When they tell me Vadik Marmeladov, I'm shaking. Because I didn't want to go on stage at any stage until the last moment, because I don't see it as my job. I quite frankly see this as the work of all of us, especially if you look at the territory of Moscow, and look at the last 10 years. People died for this vision. In other words, we can remember Roma Mazurenko. We can remember many people who laid down their lives energetically for all this. And it's very important, I think, to be as connected as possible. I am very pleased that people came in black, because it shows that everything is possible. And is it possible to say come in black? But no one will come. But there is something else here, and this is a collective work. And when you are there, you especially feel it. When I came here, I was blown away just by the beauty. Yandex has special respect because I don't have your phone. I downloaded Yandex Spending, and there is an icon, such a square. Who is he? Is it Malevich? Just 4 million of people. Well, that is, there is no such thing. This does not exist in the world. It's only here. And we have something that they don't have, and we don't sell it, we don't appreciate it, we don't want to work with it. We don't try to raise our ambition to this state to start selling it. But it's not normal that we have Kandinsky on the icon of the most popular service in the country. It's cool, it's different, because they'll have Uber written there, everything, they won't have anything else. The fact that we have the opportunity to make such a technology and sell it with a soul, it is only here. And I am very offended when you come here and you use Alphabank or use Yandex. This is the next level in design, let's say, in vibe, in frequency. You feel what is happening. You go there, and there it's like just a little bit of a party. That's it. That is, put a rating of 5. Put a rating, 5 stars. Done? Go there, do it, it's done. And what is it to do? An app. But nothing, delete it. And the lot, no matter how it sounds, is an absolutely Russian project. But we don't want to do it in Russia on principle, because there is a war against evil, and we all see these corporations. What is happening today? We ourselves have experienced to the very end what it means to work in an American corporation, how everything works for them, how soulless they are, no matter how much they don't want to show it, and no matter how much they don't want to show that everything is cool there. And there are such cool designs, cool teams. It's clear that people individually are all super, but the idea of corporations, the idea of how it all moves, with what aggression it all moves, it's cool for them, but why don't we beat back? And it sores me very much, to be honest. Having such strength behind your soul, having such an understanding of how everything works. Russian. It's interesting that you meet somewhere abroad in a company. There will be some Russian. And a conversation about music comes up, and surely this best person knows everything, just everything. All labels, where everything comes from. Because we spent our entire childhood on the internet. We didn't have a chance to go outside. Salt. We didn't have the opportunity to go outside. We didn't have the opportunity, I don't know, to go to any of the right universities. We didn't have the right internet. We didn't have all of this. And yet we feel and do not use this feeling. And I probably just want to say that I'm flying back to the war, but I feel supported, and I am the interface of all of us. And as much as it sounds like it. And I just want to say that I am very grateful for the support and wish everyone to catch this ambition, to win not only in Russia, but also to win in the world. Because we have something that they don't have and will never have. What they laugh at. Soul, this is what we need to take it, pack it as they need, but sell it there so that we can. So that all icons are like Malevich, so that all icons, all applications are like Kandinsky. Because we can't lose it, we can't lose poetry, we can't lose art. And because they have money, and they know how to do it, we lose. And lot. This is an attempt to show how it should be. We don't make a lot like this because we're crazy. Of course, we can open sales and start selling these scarves for $20. And the funny thing is that they will be bought. Well, how would you like to do next with this? We are doing this to show that no, we will do it differently. We will not have shopping cards. We will not have such and such buttons. We will not have just fundamentally. We will show you what can be done differently. And it turns out thanks to everyone. A special thank you, I want to say again a special thank you to Artemy Lebedev for everything, because I have been since childhood. My website was designed. There were no more sites. Subject. This is an example of how a country can be pumped with will, understanding, and patience. The subject was a man who swore and raged, was not sued. They wanted to put him in jail, he was sued, religion departed from him. In other words, look at it from the other side. The man says it's shit, it should be like this. And they tell him, well, that's it, in short, now we're going to put you away. As a result, everyone walks around Moscow happy, beautifully dressed, trees are growing. It is clear that this is a team effort. The government did it, and so on and so on. But the willpower of one person allowed us to say this is normal. Yes, it's cool, it can be. It is very important, it seems to me that there are such people, and special thanks to the topic for everything, and the topic. Our investor, and he said hello to everyone. I met with him, he said, hello, everyone. Questions? Right. Yes, I think there are questions. Friends, raise your hands. We will approach with microphones. I'll come with a microphone. We have questions. Super. Can I say the name from where? Don't get up, don't. Hi there. I'm in Lebedev's studio right now. My name is Ivan Tikhomirev. And you also had a lecture in the studio about a year and a half ago. And there you told how you got into some foreign English studio, and your way of working changed. Your life turned upside down, and so on, and so on. Has something changed since that moment, or is everything the same in terms of how you approach the design, how workflow, etc.? And so on? Yes, it's a cool story. Thank you. Everything remained the same, only intensified even more. The story went like this. I was working in Russia, and the idea was that we need to do it tomorrow, quickly, so that it doesn't look like anyone else. Okay, it's a good water one, but it's just impossible really. And I remember, I just had a tantrum, I'm not kidding. I just came home, fell down and just sobbed, because I went there and they tell me. I'm like this, I start doing something quickly, I start drawing, everything is ready, everything is ready. To me, the dude Florian, this is the chorus studio, he is also our investor now, and said, listen, in short, you can just do nothing for 2 weeks. I need you to go to the movies, I need you to eat food, I need you to look at your favorite sites. We're going to meet in a week, and you're going to tell me what you saw, what's cool, what's going on, and then let's talk about work. And it just changed my life, because that's how I live now. That is, you can live for 6 months, and do what you told Anya to do in 20 minutes. You don't need to do it for 6 months. It takes 6 months to think, develop, think where it's going, why it works like this, and do it in 20 minutes. Because these 6 months you've been collecting all this energy, you can't give it away with your mind. This is a mistake, and it's not natural. Give out work from your head. Work should come from the heart. The only way to make a heart out of it is to make them very quickly, in 1 second, but you need to prepare for them all your life. Any more questions? Yeah. To begin with, thank you very much for telling everything, and showing what has not been anywhere else. You're telling a story. The pilot is a story, and it develops in itself, and is quite closed, as it seems to me. Will there be collapses? Will there be crossovers? You are building a world, but will this world intersect with other worlds? Because they obviously are. And who would you have collaborated with in the 21st year? I'm a good question. There will definitely be. And for this reason, we have opened a lot from one module, let's say, lot 2046, which is black clothing, to many modules. That is, every person can absolutely. Here I gave an example. I gave an example of a shop. I see that the shop can be one of the modules. Today, we talked with the topic that why not make a module together with the studio, that is, the same subscription. But you subscribe to some experiment from the topic that it gives. It can be anything in Russia, but the same thing is clear in the world. In other words, it can be a collaboration with anyone, if they are ready to fit into our film. That is, the products are not ours, but the film. Ours. Because the idea is that a person does not buy, a person lives by something. And we call our products components. Where the components come from, it doesn't matter, because the components. It's just like a motherboard, a soundboard, bolts. These are all components. How they are going, where they are coming from, it doesn't matter. Some components may be our own, but some components may be from other people, other brands in general. It doesn't matter. The main thing is that the vibe was correct and the mission was. But I can't say yet. We have such a policy that we don't tell anyone what to do. The lot is absolutely open, no matter how it seems. And anyone can enter it, choose a piece and start making it. And we have... I wanted to say hi to the team. Masha, Lara, Sergey, who are sitting here. A separate word, you just need to introduce everyone. Masha made a scent for lot, and she did exactly that. In other words, this is just an example of collaboration, when the smell was not just like okay, make oil, but like a lot of smell, that's it for now. And Masha took it and came up with in general, how can this be? What's here? Which version is 10? How will this happen? Now the smell of her, that's it. And it didn't come from me at all, and it didn't even come from us. It doesn't come from business, it comes from desire. Lara wrote the same thing. Hi, I want to work in lot. Now Lara deals with the entire product of the lot. That is, everything that we are wearing was made by Lara. Sergey has come to Moscow now, specially from China. Interface in Moscow. This is Sergey. That is, Sergey is engaged in, let's call it promotion, but this is the wrong word. The creation of a community in Moscow, and therefore everything also happened very organically. Even inside of us we are like this. What are you not pret? Let's try it like this. Maybe I'll try to do it. Come on. And it starts spinning, because to tell a person what to do. It's wrong, that is, it doesn't work that way. If you want to do it, you feel, well, please. This is how our team is built. That is, we can have conversations every week that, like, we have tasks, who wants to do. We don't have something that you are a programmer, do it, you are a designer, do it. We have all programmers, all designers, all poets. You want to do it, do what you don't want to do, don't do it. Someone will always find it. And it is clear that there are some processes inside, but globally, as we work within ourselves, we also want to work with other people. Full trust. You want to do it, do what you don't want to do, don't do it. We're not here to. Well, I see, in short, I think I explained. Answered the question. Any more questions? Hello again. Thank you very much that it's 2046th year here for a couple of hours. I have two questions in my head. One is easy, the other is difficult. And I'm a journalist by my first education, so I'm going to be an ass and ask a difficult one. How can I keep the balance so as not to make the user my product? And how to maintain this balance between the fact that the lot knows what the user needs, but not to impose some kind of force. I'm just really interested in what you think about it. And thank you again. Is this a difficult question? Well, like yes. A difficult question. I think the first thing that comes to my mind is to try to build a relationship with a person as much as possible. And it's also interesting that we thought about this and that we have a subscription, a business model. It comes not from the fact that this is a business model, but from the fact that this is the only model that allows you to build a relationship with a person. That is, it's so stupid to explain. That is, if we made some kind of product, a scarf, we make 10,000 pieces of it. Let's say we hang it on the website and say buy it, but we don't know who bought them. Why did people buy it? Why does anyone need it at all? So we thought it might work. You posted it, it works. And we are trying in a different way. We are trying to build relationships with ourselves so that we can develop together. And let's say we have a support service. If you know how it works, we don't ask unnecessary questions. If you write like I don't like this product, I want to remove it, please, no question. Plus these two products, no question. In other words, we know that you are with us for a long time. In business it's all right, because you are with us for a long time. Therefore, if you don't like something this month, we'll just recalibrate it. If there's something wrong here, okay, let's change it. If it's really bad, we will refund the money next month. That is, we keep a relationship. It's a couple relationship, any relationship. In other words, there are skirmishes, but the task of both sides is simply to overcome them. Usually the user overcomes them, but the brand is of this type for now. We don't care about everything, we have business there, money, bye-bye. I do not know how this will work until the end, but we are trying to make sure that we are the same partner in this relationship, as the user is to us, because the user trusts us. Subscribe to the lot. This is a feat in some form, but we must understand this, and we must respond in the same way. Thank you for being with us. Come on then, how can we help with this? I think it's important. That is, full transparency. We don't have anything hidden. We don't have hidden scenes. We don't have any hidden jokes. We don't have hidden questions. We don't track anything. Everything that is. Maximum transparency. Thank you. Raise your hands. No. Yes. All right. I wanted to ask my question. Can I ask one? Very fast. We talked on the weekend. You said such a thing. I think everyone cares. I looked in a chat on YouTube. Everyone is asking about practicality and everything that is happening. I mean, when you show something from the future, it may not be useful now. Is it possible to say everything about investors that you told me? Yes, of course. Super. Investors, what kind of software do you have? Are you talking like software? Seriously. Good question. What it means and why you don't really care. Why shouldn't investors care what kind of software you have in the lot tomorrow? This is a very cool question. I was talking to someone, and I have a full one. In other words, we come to investors, to some people at the top level, and they look at all this and say, okay, cool design. Everything is super there, but what do you have with software? Where is he? Why can't I see him? What does this mean? They say, show us the code, I don't know. There are some algorithms there. For me, it's just such a wildness that I grow apples. I have a garden of several hectares. I show an apple to a person, say, I have a few tons of apples, can you buy? They say something to me, damn, it's delicious in general, the most delicious apple I've ever eaten in my life. Do you have a truck to bring them? Of course there is one. Or we will, but I do not know. That is, it does not matter. And technology has come to this. We all see what happens with computer vision, with algorithms and machine learning. It becomes libraries that are publicly available to everyone. That is, to sell technology. It's like selling a truck when you grow apples. Or another example. This is to build a house. The house should change consciousness with dots. Architecture. One of the great arts that combines art, music, sound, and how you feel there, and all the energy. It's very, very difficult. Many, many layers and many, many levels. From the brick to the smell of the atmosphere again, how the light falls at this exact time, on this exact day, this year. In other words, it's all calculated if you are a normal architect. Imagine a situation when I want to make such a house, I hire myself the coolest mason, the roundest designer of the earth. Hire myself the coolest driver who delivers cement, this is, say, a developer. I hire myself the coolest. All of these people, except the architect. That's how I see how startups are being made now, how companies are being made. That is, it's all, but without the most important thing. Why is this done? What should it give? And it turns out that we have awesome houses that are very well made. They have very cool bricks. Everything is aligned. There is a whole industry that makes these bricks correctly. Everyone there in blogs looks at them at each other. They are very beautiful. As if everything is great. But without an architect, a person who. It doesn't matter, maybe a team of people, it doesn't matter, it's a lot of people. Without this desire, how would I answer the question deeper, that is, if a person thinks about death, will my house help or not? If a person has children, and something happens to them in this house, will the house help or not? Questions that we are all afraid to ask ourselves, which, unfortunately, the bricklayer cannot answer. Which the driver of this truck with cement cannot answer. Not because they're bad people, because it's not their job. To do this, there are specially trained people who live this life, and try to answer these difficult questions. And it's crazy to me that there are no such people in companies that deal with technology. And now the questions begin. There are some storytelling departments, maybe some departments like not design. But this is also cool, but there should be an even higher level when we should try to charge their users, people, with something completely different. Thank God, we lived to see the commons, when technology just became commode, when design became generally accepted. We talked to the topic today on the topic that. I have examples of life. For 10 years you've been teaching, let's say, a role for details. You've been studying at Vire for 3 years, now there's a program. You just drag the material, and you'll never do this in your life. It's impossible. Because we have come a long way when modeling, three-dimensional graphics, soft. This has become the norm, like electricity, like snow removal and so on. And we have nothing at the highest level. And we download these apps in search of answers to questions, but they are not there. And we think that YouTube will help answer them. Of course not. And there was a very interesting interview with Steve. Again, these are not my thoughts, I just picked up. There is an interesting interview with Steve, where he talks about. They ask him at the end of the interview, maybe they saw him, they say like, "Dude, are you a hippie, or are you a nerd?" He says, "Of course, I'm a hippie." Because when we started doing the work in the 80s, we all had a sense of the end, first of all, full of what to do. Secondly, we had all sorts of psychedelics and so on. And we entered into another stream, which was not in the corporate culture of America, which was not military in some topics. Politics. It was a paramilitary and so on topic. We started answering questions that technology, these brands don't answer. He was talking about the fact that we had no engineers or designers working in our team. We had all poets, all artists. I like the way he said that last sentence. I do not know why it is not so popular, but he said that. You know, we all have something inside, he said, Gab, a hole that we can't close with anything. And every person has it. Again, we can talk as much as we like about the design according to the schedule, about everything else. Every person will come out of here, including me, and say, "How long have I lived? What should I do?" These thoughts are here. They don't go anywhere. This is a thought that we push away from ourselves every day. Does she like me? Does he like me? And what should I do if I don't like? Do I look good? And the right color of my skin? These are all questions coming from another place, and technologies are not trying to answer them. They are only trying to aggravate them. And this is wrong. We need to close this hole with our work, and not just try to expand it and add more anxiety and frustration to people and so on. I have one more question. My name is Nikita, I'm from Yandex. And you called yourself an avatar. Called the avatar of the dragon. An avatar. Interface. Interface. I have two things mixed up. Interfaces, avatars. The question is, do you have your avatar? Can you tell me in more detail? Do you see your dragon for yourself, relatively speaking? Yes, lot, absolutely. Lot, that's what it is. And again, it is very important that I try to convey within the team, and for myself, that the lot cannot be mine. That is, I do as much as I want. I have an understanding of how I see, I press, I'm not scared, I want to do, and this is my avatar for me. But it is important that each team member has their own avatar inside the lots, and so on. That is, then everything will work. If you take a piece for yourself, it becomes your child, you live with it, then everything will be fine. We talked at the weekend about the comparison with children. And it's very interesting that if you think about it. By the way, it's fun if you think about the company. Thanks for the question. If you think about the company, then the company. This is absolutely a child. You give birth to it. And if someone has ever launched something that they have been working on for several years, then you know this feeling. When you launch something, the first moment, it's a misfortune, not joy, it's such a wild sadness, because you let the child go free. That's it, it's not yours anymore. And this is an unpleasant feeling. And then it only gets worse. That is, a child, some people come, start doing something with him, and this should be here. However, it is very important that the whole team and the company think, let's say, in this case about Lot as a child that we are raising. And if you think about a child, then how many things must happen in a real child in order for a child to grow up, let's say, a good person? In order for there to be love, it is necessary that parents do not quarrel. If they quarrel, they have to come to an agreement with you. If they can agree, they should divorce. Maybe the child needs to be there, I don't know, there's a brother or sister, if something doesn't work out. Maybe you need to move to another city. That is, everything that can be imagined, what is needed for a child, absolutely one-to-one, is needed for the company. And at the same time, all the sacrifices and sufferings that parents experience, especially these torments to give, to change. Or the child may die, the child may get very sick and recover. If you treat it differently, it won't work. Therefore, we are very worried about every day exactly as a child, and not as a company, because again, I did it, sold it, forgot. We are trying to make a child, we feel it that way. Now, let's say, there is a transitional moment when a child is 2 years old and he started talking. Damn, what should I do? It is necessary to buy something, to make some room or another, I do not know. Now brothers have made a module, they gave it to different kindergarten, in short. Well, that is. Hi there. What do you think about design in Russia? Top. The tower. Greatness. And somehow try to expand it so that you can put it in your head and walk with this mantra, because many people do not believe in it. Yes, especially after you come from there to here and compare. Excuse me. That is, you understand all the feelings. And can you, while you're thinking, the context Suryaza will say, you said so, I moved, there's something there. Well, I just got back from San Francisco recently. Having spent 2 years there, I understand this line in the manifesto firm. What was there? Nowhere. Not at? I'm not going to San Francisco. If you are reading this, if you have reached the court, then you already know it. And about soullessness, and about everything else. That is, maybe in this dichotomy of the soulless and the spiritual. Well, yes. I think rule number 1. This is to try and not be afraid of it, to have a very big ambition, and to have this ambition outside of Russia. This is number 1. Because when you have ambitions outside of Russia, you start to turn on other mechanisms. I'll just say it like it is, probably because I went through the pain and realized one thing. I am struck by, let's say, a few things. It amazes me that I see that there is a lot of money in Moscow, in Russia. I know that there is a good salary. But I know very few people who will buy a ticket consciously and fly to New York just to sit in a cafe and see how people are arranged, to understand how to work with them, to be friends with them in general, to understand how their head works in order to win them over. So the tickets are there, okay, $800, $300, so you can go to Europe and just start this research, to work with them, and not in Russia. Then, it seems to me, it is very important to have an understanding of the mission, why you are doing this, why you need it. The mission doesn't have to be tight, it can be whatever it wants to be, but the mission should be such that I don't want to do it for money, and not because I have to pay rent. And I also often worry that someone might say, I would do it, I have to pay. I have to pay too. Everyone has to pay rent, everything needs to be eaten. But it seems to me that it is important to educate yourself, that whatever your mission is, it can be anything at all. From the simplest to some crazy ones, it does not matter. You just need to believe as much as possible that this is it and work with this mission. When you start to believe in this mission, then your design changes, and the approach to this design changes, how you talk about it. Because you can say, or you can say, in short, it will be so. And it's just a different approach, but it doesn't depend on the quality of the picture. It depends on how you think about it. About the quality of the design, I would say that. Here is an example. To go there and see how everything looks like at them. Just to understand how tasteless and ugly it is there. And to believe in myself. To understand that I know how it works, because I was at this place. I know when you're sitting, and you're sitting a girl, I'm watching the race and thinking, damn, how did I do it? And then he's like, it doesn't matter. And it seems to me that it is very important to say, no, it's important, you need to cry further. And then come, no matter to the boss, to the manager, to the customer, to the partner, and say, I'm crying. What do you think? If the person is not crying, goodbye. I think this is the most important advice.
Hi there, I have such a question. Maybe he's kind of weird. But the foot is sold, Helen. I don't know the details. It's sold to Aaron. About the lot, you said that this is your child, the child of your team, and so on. Would you be able to sell the lot after some time, or still? In other words, this is not the story as a weak one. This is the story of a purely heartfelt something.
We sold the foot out of necessity, simply because times were very difficult. I still regret it every day, so never in my life. Of course, if we have 5 years pass, we have families, children, difficulties, and we are given $1 billion for a lot. But what to do? Maybe it will need to be done, but I'm kidding. I think this will never happen, because otherwise, if we do this, we will sell everything that happened, all the sacrifices, all these conversations, and so on. If we get pinned down, we'll have to get out of it, but I don't think that's going to happen. I hope so. One. That's cool. Thank you for the performance and for the service, for the product, for this story in fact, which goes both through the foot and through the lot. It's very cool. I would like to go back to what Suryaza said about. I remembered the manifesto that you had first on the website, then the system requirements climbed the lot about San Francisco, about corporations. And you just explained one of the negative moments when you work in a corporation, why you can't create a world, create your own universe. You're being restricted. You can also remember about the bureaucratic structure, about endless approvals, behind which all meaning perishes. And it seems that. Okay, it's probably strange to say this in the Yandex office, but what? Is this for normal? Russian. They are not the best Russian corporations because they are created in the image and likeness of American ones. And since you showed things today that you didn't show anywhere else, and, as it seemed to me, you spoke as openly as possible. I'm also returning to you as such a feedback that this performance today is so strange in the sense that it is both super inspiring and super depressive. I know, I'll answer. Yes, I think Yandex is generally mega respect because again, I have not seen a single corporation that has Malevich on the icons, first of all. Secondly, there are a lot of people I know who are top, and it's difficult for them in their head because they have so many ideas. Everything leads. Yandex has sheltered these people and allows them to create things that. What is happening here? There is no such thing anywhere else. It's important. And perhaps Yandex is still a corporation. It serves the whole giant country, which is not easy and uncomplicated. And without infrastructure, without understanding at all what's what and why it goes where. Nevertheless, Yandex allows people to create things that are not created anywhere else. Therefore, it seems to me that it is normal that there are compromises, but this dialogue is important, and everything is cool. And what was the first question for Yandex? There was an interesting question for Yandex. Let's leave Yandex aside then, especially since thanks to them that they are children. I'm standing in Yandex, I'm not standing Google. I'm like this, I'm just an abstract Yandex, I'm in a vacuum. Just in terms of meaning, if you go back to what I'm talking about, why depressive? I have a feeling, a second feeling. I remembered that I also work in a fairly large company and have worked in large companies before. And it seems that you have shown with your story, with your actions, that it doesn't work very well inside the corporation, even if there are some cool founders and so on. That's it. Looking at your story, your actions, it can be concluded that the only way out is to leave and create your own corporation. No, that's a good question. In fact, there is not, and we also talk about it very often, and think about how to do it, because this is a sore point. Perhaps in the near future, there should be some new corporate structure that will work differently, what we are trying to do in the lot. I think organic companies will just outgrow, because everyone is human. Brands. There is no longer a designer who is a post-designer, there is a designer who is with his world. Probably, answering your first question about the world not being allowed to create it, it seems to me that this is the same principle. Your world. This is your world. No one can forbid you to create it. The question is, do they need it? This is the second question. And I don't think I know anyone from Yandex, let's say, except Denmark. But Danya is a good example of the fact that there is a world that you can give it to Yandex, you can give it to someone else, but Yandex buys it. And this is also, frankly, stupidly in the forehead, but I think that the world should be outside of customers, outside of brands, outside of the company, outside of rent, outside of the family, even partners. It should be your world, you believe in it, you develop it, and at some point, you just see, okay, I have a piece that I can give to Yandex, I can give to myself, I can go do something of my own. But it seems to me that Yandex does not interfere with the creation. I'll be honest about our BNB, that we had huge salaries there and all these highs. I've never had a more creative time in my life. All the ideas that are there now, it was somehow born there. Because when you think only about food and how to survive, something turns out beautifully, but it's very difficult. When you come to the office, you know that for a year you cannot think about rent, about excitement, about food. You can do next level stuff. This is an absolute fact. So I think you just have to love the place, because there is no other way. I wanted to talk about Maxim Leviny Masha Boyarsky here, because I remember the moment when we were on NV too. Remember the poster that was? The poster? It was a corporation, a company, a media holding with some investors, oligarchs, and so on and so on. But Max made his world what it was. He used an absolutely Trojan horse. He took the craziest graphic design, the craziest art direction, which is in the most dull magazines 02, and so on. And so on, and so on. I assembled a team that dug deep outside of Russia, as the coolest graphic design should be. And just a year later, you go to the subway, and there you have the coolest graphic design. And he's international cool. The poster was on blogs everywhere. Therefore, it seems to me that you can look at it as restrictions, and you can look at it as blessing. It's cool that there is an opportunity to do some crazy things for someone else's money. I don't know, I think it's very cool. Friends, we have 10 minutes left, and we have an active chat on YouTube. I wanted to ask a couple of questions from there and maybe the last one from the audience, okay. I'm ready. It's just that the questions are quite, well, tough, it seems to me, it's cool. The first question, Vatic. Why, on the one hand, does the lot promote environmental friendliness, but on the other, in fact, it encourages overconsumption? It means that there are a lot of things that come every month. The child is growing. While he's growing up, he's got a lot going on. That is, it is necessary to buy him clothes not for several years, but every day. It's just that this is a moment of growth, and we have a vision that the lot will work as a service that serves itself. Takes the leftovers from you, brings what you need. They know that it needs to be replaced. As a result, it will set itself up so that there will be no leftovers, no necessary things will come. If we grow even more, some fulfillment services will be on the local, that is, perhaps the lot will be a warehouse in Russia, that is, there will already be less shipment, perhaps packaging is not needed at all. What if a person brings and says, "Here, we thought this week is normal." I think it's just a job and a moment of growth, and everything will pass. Then another small question about what to do with things if you don't need them, which came to you. Give it to a friend, tell him about the idea of the lot, and so that we have more subscribers. Super. Then to more questions from the audience. Here's one.
Thank you. Hi there, my name is Polina. I have a question. Tell me, what role does gender play within the lot universe? Will there be a separate lot for girls? How do you see it? Or is it all some kind of neutral? Because now, after all, it's more men's clothes, men's things, and no matter what.
Big question. Very difficult. But we added women's underwear about 6 months ago. And now we have 50% in 6 months. Again, a difficult question. Women's things, girls, boys, 50-50%. But the issue is global because we don't want to restrict the boy if he wants to walk in these underpants, and so on, and so on. Therefore, I think that we will work on this topic and think about how to combine it. I agree that all things are very, how to say it, courageous now. But probably only because we wanted to create a sense of the uniform of war. And how would it be a uniform to go to war? What does the uniform look like? Because it's a girl. I don't know, I think. Well, in short, this is a very difficult question. I'm thinking. I don't want to look for anything superfluous, so we will show in the interface how it should be. I have already said something superfluous, yes, it turns out. Sorian. Yes, hello. Danya asked me to introduce myself. My name is Philip, I'm from Zen here. I have a pretty simple question. I guess you know the feeling. You're reading something, and you're like that. There are two sensations. Sometimes you think, Mother of God, how exactly is this formulated, and how does it get into me? And this is something new when you haven't formulated it for yourself before, but you understand, it pierced you. And sometimes you think, yes, damn it, I've always thought so. And you can, for example, there are a couple of texts or something, books, articles, anything that gave you a feeling of such enlightenment, to which you did not think about it before, or which was very in tune with you. Yes, I have several books, but I don't want to take them out in my English, but there are just such very simple ones. I don't really read it, more pictures, but it seems to me that it is necessary to read everything that is about Apple. Because in fact there are such books, and there is a book about how the John Ive team works. And it shows how they generally drink, and everything in a row. And that's important, it's part of the process. Or there's a book about some logistics team at Apple. That is, it's all sorted out like this, but if you put it together, you clearly see how the company works, because they don't talk about it. And there are a couple of names. I recommend the book Ben Horowitz, I will say in Russian, Complex Things About Complex Things. She's very cool, because he doesn't hesitate to tell simply, I'm starting to talk, I'm freaking out. He does not hesitate to start talking about the most difficult situations that a company can have. That is, they are never a product. I like the idea, just as an example, of advertising a book. He said that. He says that when you work inside the company, you think that you are working with your colleague. It doesn't matter, it can be down, so up, it doesn't matter. But in fact, you don't work with your colleague, you work with your colleague's partner. Because your colleague is with you already because he believes you. He goes home and says, listen, some tin at home. They say to him, damn, why are you sitting there? That's it, that's the end where it happens. And you, as a leader or as a team person, you have to understand that you work with the whole family. And this changes the attitude, because you can't make gestures anymore, you have to understand that. And you have to communicate with people so that they can tell people, because they already believed you, but these did not believe. And they pose questions from a person every day. And who is stronger? Do you understand which is stronger, partner or you? And you can't fight, you have to be everyone, you need everyone to be all together. This one piece of advice is simple, it's very cool. And there are a lot of such tips there. Hi there. Hi there. My name is Murden. Vadik and I are familiar. I don't have a question anymore, but a request. More music in the lot, if you can, more often, and sweat it some more, okay. That's it, there will be a lot of music. Friends, in fact, we are starting to run out of everything. One question from Suryaza Serganov. Suryaza, I won't let you, I'm sorry please. There's another person there. There will be one last question, and then we can all talk at the coffee point. We'll have a lot of free time there. And then maybe somewhere else. Look, yeah, we'll just have it. I think it's not there. We just will. We are going to the deficit, and everything is great, and there will be a booze, a party, and there you can talk. The task is not to talk to me, because I have said everything that I really have, but it is better to talk among ourselves. And we have a place. What's the address? And now everyone from the broadcast will come. Let's say we say offline. Secret location, broadcast. No, there aren't many people there. 400. One last question, friends, and I'll see you there. Vadik, thank you for the performance. Very inspiring. My name is Nick. I have a question. You know so much and want to know about those with whom you have a relationship, lot? As much as possible. Yes. Accordingly, you are gaining a lot of data. That's what your data policy is, that is, the lot, and what will be the policy when you connect others. The shop. Shop and Ls. Good question. I don't want to go out into it, because it's already starting, as we call it. How is that, by the way? Value is propositional, because there is a secret there. But everything is based on trust as much as possible. In other words, we want to make sure that we don't ask questions that can harm you out of context. That is, if a question out of context can be tied to you, it can harm you, we do not hand it over. If the question is, let's say, what is your mood? Again, such very simple questions. If you have a family, then there is, in principle, what is already visible on Instagram, for example. Or you have already given it away. We ask, and we will try to create your profile not based on tracking, where you went, or what you bought, or how your card works. Some sites you visited, as all these guys do. We will try to make your profile based on your spirit. And it is possible, impossible, but we will try to do it. Will you tell me there at the end? Let's all go to the next stage in black. He will be here again this summer. And we cannot explain in principle that it was a lot. I think it's just important to show that we believe and ask. The request is as follows. I was in Tagliati. I was 14 years old. Everything was very good for him. I visited Lebedev's website and thought that someday I would get to know him. It was enough for me just to see him. Now he is an investor in the lot. And this is not because it was fundamental, because a person simply changed his life with unhappy sites and saved me himself. Because if there were no such sites, what would I do? I do not know what I would do. And I think we need to understand that our work, we're all like morphine in the matrix. We are all doing what we are doing Anplag. First you need to make a full house for yourself, but then you need to make a full house for these people who are sitting. And these people are not sitting in Russia, just believe me. These people are sitting in New York, San Francisco, and Manhattan. It does not depend on the status, on the location. There are children who find it very, very difficult because they don't know what to do, they don't understand where to go. Our task: pull them out. And it works. Worked with me, worked with many here, and will work with others. It just seems to me that we need to believe that each of us can help this person. And when we think about it, we go beyond the borders of the country, beyond politics, Putin, and everything else. It doesn't matter. This is the 10th question in general. It's important that we have the power. We are now talking only about designers, about products. But we have the power to apply one picture in a person's life, to do so. He comes home and says, "Listen, Mom, I went to Moscow, bye." This can happen only because the correct picture appeared here. That's it. And this is very important.